Welcome to the Blanco Wellness Podcast. Thank you for being here. Take a breath, settle in, and let's talk today about something that exhausts almost everyone at some point, and that most people do not realize they are doing until they are already depleted by it. There is a particular kind of tiredness that comes not from doing too much, but from running in the wrong direction for too long. You might recognize it. The energy spent watching for a message that does not arrive, the mental loops of trying to decode what someone's behavior means, whether the silence is significant, whether you said something wrong, whether trying again differently might produce a different result, the slow, draining work of keeping a connection alive that only seems to require effort from one side. The chasing, sometimes visible and external, sometimes entirely internal, conducted in the quiet of your own mind at 2 a.m, is exhausting in a way that is difficult to explain to anyone who has not experienced it. Because from the outside, it can look like simply caring about someone. But there is a difference between caring about someone and chasing them. And the difference matters enormously. Caring is generous and open and does not require a specific response in order to feel worthwhile. Chasing is driven by need, specifically the need for the other person to behave in a particular way so that you can feel secure, or valued, or certain that the connection is real. And the difficult thing about chasing is that it rarely produces what it is looking for, because the very quality of desperation that drives it tends to push away what it is hoping to attract. Think about why chasing actually happens. Most people, if asked, would say they are chasing because they care deeply about someone, and perhaps they do. But underneath the caring, something more specific is usually operating, a sense that this particular person's attention or approval or choice is the thing that will confirm some essential question about your own worth. That if they finally respond, you will feel valued. That if they finally commit, you will feel secure. That their choosing you will resolve something that has been unresolved for longer than this relationship has existed. Without quite deciding to, many people hand the answer to a question about themselves to someone else, and then spend months or years trying to retrieve it from a person who may not even know they are holding it. The Buddhist tradition is precise about this distinction. It describes the difference between love, which is genuinely oriented toward the well-being of another person, and attachment, which is oriented toward what the other person can produce in you. Love says, I care about your happiness, including the possibility that your happiness moves in a direction that does not include me. Attachment says, I need you to behave in a specific way so that I can feel okay. Both can wear the clothes of love from the inside, which is why they are so consistently confused. The difference shows up in what happens when the other person does not cooperate, whether there is grief and genuine acceptance, or whether there is intensified pursuit, a tightening of the grip. There is a story about a man who spent years trying to catch a butterfly. Every time he came close, it moved away. And so he moved faster, reached further, tried harder, and the butterfly continued its unhurried escape. One afternoon, exhausted, he finally sat down beneath a tree and stopped. He was not trying anything anymore. He was simply there, tired and still. After some time, a butterfly landed quietly on his shoulder. He had not called it. He had not pursued it. He had simply stopped filling the air around him with the turbulence of desperate effort. And in that stillness, what had been moving away found its own way toward him. The Taoist concept of Wu Wei applies here with particular clarity. Wu Wei does not mean passivity or indifference. It means action without force, the quality of engaging with life in a way that works with what is naturally available, rather than against what is not. Trying to push a river upstream is real effort. It is not Wu Wei. Following the current downstream requires less effort and covers more ground. Many people pour extraordinary energy into relationships that are, in the most basic directional sense, flowing away from them. And the effort is real, and the exhaustion is real, and the distance does not close. The Taoist question about such situations is direct. What would happen if you stopped pushing against this particular current and turned to find out what is flowing in your direction instead? This is not a recommendation for coldness or the performance of not caring as a strategy. It is something more honest than that. The people who belong in your life do not require endless pursuit. They do not require constant proof that you are worth showing up for. Relationships require genuine effort, the ongoing work of communication and honesty, and showing up for each other through difficulty. But that effort is mutual. It moves in both directions. What only moves in one direction is not a relationship being built. It is one person depleting themselves in the hope that sufficient depletion will eventually produce what genuine mutual interest would have produced naturally. There is also a cost to chasing that tends to go unexamined, the cost to your own life. Every hour spent decoding someone's silence, waiting for their response, analyzing the last exchange, imagining future scenarios, rehearsing what you might say differently. That is an hour not spent on the things that are actually yours. Your health, your work, the friendships that are not making you work this hard, the version of yourself that is trying to emerge beneath all the noise of someone else's unavailability. The attention is finite. Where it goes matters. And a great deal of genuinely valuable living gets quietly foregone, because attention is entirely occupied by someone who is not choosing to be present for it. A student once asked his teacher how to find the kind of love he was looking for. The teacher's answer was not what he expected. Stop looking for someone to complete you, and start becoming complete. The student was disappointed. He had wanted practical guidance, not a redirection. But the teaching is practical, in a way that eventually becomes clear. The most enduring connections tend to form between people who are each living genuinely from their own center, not two people desperately seeking rescue from their own incompleteness, but two people whose lives are already meaningful, who encounter each other and find that being together adds something that was not there before. That kind of connection does not require chasing. It tends to arrive gradually and without force when you are fully occupied with becoming the person you are actually trying to be. As we close today, carry one question with you. Who or what are you currently chasing? And what would become available in your life if you turned that energy around and directed it back toward yourself? Not as a strategy for attracting the person you are chasing, simply as a genuine act of choosing your own life. Because the moment you stop running towards someone who keeps moving away, you might discover that you were always the destination you were looking for. Thank you for being here with me today. Until next time, be well.